The following program is sponsored. The opinions and statements made by the host and the guests do not necessarily reflect the views of Praise 107.9 or its parent company, Delmarva Educational Association.
You're tuned into Let's Talk Up Close and Personal with Dr. Nathalie Chase Thompson and friends. Without further delay, let's get right to it.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are located. This is Dr. Nathalie Chase Thompson, and welcome to Let's Talk Up Close and Personal. I have on the phone with me today Prophet Cookie Whitaker. She's my right hand. She's right there with me in pretty much everything that we do. And today we're going to be talking about a common text, common conversation, common topic. We're going to talk quickly about the pandemic, how it affects the church, the mental health of the people as a result of what's happening in and around us in our society with the pandemic going on. So good evening, Prophet Cookie. How are you?
Hello there, Dr. Thompson. How are you?
I'm doing well. Are you doing social distancing in your house and outside today?
I'm doing my very best to obey.
Very good, very good. Like I said, we're going to just talk briefly about the effects. A few weeks ago, we were sharing, and it was saddened because a lot of people were at odds because they couldn't go into the church building. And first and foremost, the church is not in the building. It's not brick and mortar. It's where we are. And let me preface this. I'm not talking about just a Christian church. I don't care if you're going into your mosque. I don't care if you're going into your temple. I don't care where your place of worship is based upon your faith or your religion or even quote unquote non-religion. It really doesn't matter. But people were stressing and have been stressing because they can't go and get into the building. But whoever you believe in, we just happen to believe in Jesus Christ, the anointing of the anointed one. Whoever you believe in, it should be on the inside of you and not predicated on you being with someone. So what's your thoughts about that?
Well, for one, I enjoy the gathering together. Mm-hmm. Normally, that's what I do. I enjoy the expression from other people. I enjoy being quiet in the presence of the music that's being presented. I like all of that. That's part of who I am. But there's a time and place for everything. And we find ourselves here today with this pandemic where we have to reconsider who we are. And are we people that are Christians that are following the rules and the laws of the land, or do we want to be, off on the side a little bit and do our thing where we open our church houses? For me, I miss it, but I've gotten such a new infilling and growth from being able to experience church online, church on Zoom, the gathering together of saints, whether it's 6 feet away from me or in another state talking with me. I think it's whoever you choose to be, but I think today we need to follow what's being demonstrated for us and being instructed to us, and we can still, if we open our hearts to God, it doesn't really matter whether we're sitting in our chair back in the bedroom or quietly wherever we choose to be, where we let the Holy Spirit come into us and fill us up. We can have church anywhere.
Anywhere, absolutely. Because and I agree with you. I enjoy the gathering together, the fellowship, and the sad part. But now it's becoming prevalent for so many that didn't agree with it. They thought that when we would go live on Facebook Live and Periscope and wherever else we would go live, that was just not of God. And that was just that was uncanny. But now so many others are actually having to do what they were not comfortable in doing. And what we fail to realize, if we're only going to reach those that are in those four walls, we're doing an injustice. We're doing a disservice to those that may never walk into a building because of hurt, because of their beliefs, because of what people have said or the lifestyle that we've projected. And again, this goes across the board. I don't care what faith you are. This goes across the board. But during this time, we are literally reaching the masses, which we're already commissioned to do. We are reaching, we're right here in Jacksonville, Florida, but we're reaching the UK, we're reaching Germany, we're reaching, Uganda. We're literally reaching globally. So instead of this being a negative thing, this has actually been a blessing. This has actually been an opportunity for us to launch out into the deep, launch out into those uncharted waters, launch out into those uncomfortable places, to kick us out of the box, to kick us out of the normal way of thinking of how we're supposed to do and what we're supposed to do. So, like us, we've never had quote unquote church as usual. We have dialogue, and even now we do our social distancing services by way of Zoom, and then go live into Facebook with our services. But with our Let's Talk Up Close and Personal segments, we talk about raw, uncut issues. Things that don't come across the pulpit, things that you won't hear inside of the building, things that you normally don't hear pastors, apostles, prophets, pastors, evangelists, teachers. Yeah, I said it again. Discussing. But it's sitting right there in your congregation. It's sitting right there in your house. It's sitting right there in your temple. It's sitting right there in your kingdom hall life. You're having people sitting in there and they're being beaten, male and female. You're having people sitting in there and they're sitting during the services at work, driving up the street, and they're contemplating how they're going to commit suicide, how they're going to go and rape this person, how they're going to go and do this, that, and the third to people. What's your take on that? How do you think we should address those issues?
Well, I think it's become for a lot of people easier in this sense to have an opportunity to call in, to speak. Because sometimes it doesn't matter what your situation is that you're going through. It's easier to speak from behind a curtain. And that's what the phone has and the online has allowed us to do. For people that are in need, some of those people might not even come up and knock on the church's door. But if they know they can reach out through a phone line and discuss what their need is, or what the difficulty is, or what their sadness is, or the depression, through a phone line to someone, or even maybe to call in and say, could I speak with you later because of the situation? Every need should be met. And if the platform gives people a wider range to reach out, then I think, yay, that's a great thing. But, through the process, there's always, those negative thoughts as well, that people want to be not always in favor of what's being said, or a negative comment in some way or another. Another great opportunity. We're learning. We can share. Keep both lines of communication open so it can be discussed and talked about. But, I think I I think this has become an opportunity across the board for people that never wanted to go out into church building, or people that's experienced something negative in their past, that this is opening up an opportunity again, a new way for Christians to go as Jesus told us to do. We're supposed to go out. We don't necessarily, we go in to learn in our services, but we're really not meant to go in and sit down and wait for the preacher to save everyone. It's up to us. We as Christians do it through the phone lines, through the radio station, through the internet, but we need to go out to bring people into us as a group, I believe, rather than the building, just a Christian community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You know, like I said, the raw and uncut part of it, I was thinking while you were talking about it, how growing up in the church for me was very interesting, because half of the people I was smoking weed with and having sex with and all this other stuff were sitting up, you know, in the church. And I'm thankful that it didn't deter me from still continuing, because I didn't keep my eyes on those people. I kept my eyes on who I've always heard, you know, God was, and what he can and can't do for you, you know, and bringing you out of situations. And even now, especially now, being able to reach people that, like I said, are unchurched, raw. Every other word might be a cuss word, not curse word, a cuss word. You know, they don't have the proper vocabulary as, you know, we expect people to be, but they're just human. They're hurt, they're confused, and they want a better way. They want a way out. They want to know that there's hope. They want to know that there's somebody that's there to reach down, pick them up, not judge them, not try and skin them, you know, and gut them before you catch them good, you know, but just to be there, you know, and even during this, especially during this time, and us having to be in the house so much, and staying home and not being able to go to work, and not, you know, your children not being able to do a lot of things, mentally it becomes a strain. Emotionally, it can become a strain on the family if you don't have an outlet, if you don't have a coping mechanism, if you don't have something in place to where you're still able to talk, you're still able to share, and share honestly, and not be, you know, this time with your kids, becoming creative with them. Given, you know, they can't go out and hang out with their friends like they're supposed to. And now here we go, opening up the city in various cities and states. And you're doing football, you're doing basketball, you're going to the beach, you're doing all these different things. And all of a sudden, you're getting sick all over again. All of a sudden, all these things are starting to creep in, and you're wondering why. Because it wasn't safe to go outside yet. And not so much not safe to go outside, but how are you going outside? There are cities that are now coming in that the rates are higher now. The illnesses and the positive confirmations of COVID-19 are more positive now than they were before, because they weren't testing everybody. Yes, you have families that need the income, but do you need the income so much to jeopardize the life of your family? You want to go to the beach. Do you need to go to the beach so much that you're willing to jeopardize your children? you want to go out and do your football and you want to go into these different places. Do you need to do all of this so much that you're willing to kill your family? Because that's basically it. Unfortunately, some of them will have a death notice placed on them. Me myself, with all the quote unquote diagnosis that the medical establishment has placed upon me, I have to be mindful. Right. And it's just called using common sense. But some people don't have common sense, so you can't blame them. So what you have to do, you have to teach them. We are our brother's keepers. You have to teach them. You have to educate them, but you have to educate them with some common sense as to how you approach them too. Oh, you better get that mask on. Oh, the devil be damned. Get out my face.
Right.
So what do we do? How do we do it? How do you approach people? See, with the two of us, I'm hard and you come back and you smooth out the edges after I've, ruffled some feathers sometime. So what's your take on that? We have a few more minutes left.
Well, I've been out of town for the last 3 months, so I've experienced how another city is handling this virus. And, I went to the Publix grocery store there, and I've gone to the Publix grocery store here. I can tell you from what I've observed, there is a difference here in Jacksonville where it seems to me that people either they're not as frightened of the virus or they're not observing the requirements like what I experienced at the other town. So I sort of was curious when I went out and the parking lots were so full and the stores, didn't seem to be regulated. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just picking on one particular grocery store and saying, ooh, they're doing something wrong. It's not. I think it's the people and the choices that people are making. It's up to us to protect ourselves in the way that we've been directed. But the other person may not be following those directions as close. So it's what we might be receiving is from where we are and what the other person is doing or not doing. Going to the beach, I kind of think it would be fun to go hang out in the sun and just walk the beach and stay a distance away from people. But if I stop at the drive-thru on my way to get some drinks or at the gas station to get some gas, I try to carry gloves and the wipes to make sure that the gas tank handle thing is clean. But is everyone doing that? Mm. So it's across the board where we really need to make sure that we are smart in our choices, that when we make those decisions to go out, are we prepared to go out and do it the correct way? I don't know. I once was out in the store and I sneezed and I was like, oh my goodness, I got to cover my face and run back outside the store, even though I've not shown any signs of being sick with anything. It just, my feeling that, the other people are going to think I'm carrying something out to them. Mm-hmm. So I think across the board, we can't stay in the house 24/7. There are things that we need. And there are things that, maybe people that are, of a certain age that would love to get out of the house, but you need to maybe stop and think of who those people are and carry things to them. Yeah. And visit with them on the phone and do the things that we, stay in contact. But, you are familiar with the nursing home and the people that are in facilities where it's just kind of a lockdown for them. But there's still such loneliness, and we can reach out during this time, maybe an extra time. Maybe some of those people we don't call as as often as we should right now, because the need for them is still there to reach out and touch someone. So there's lots of things that we can keep ourselves busy with and still stay inside. And you can watch it, listen to the radio together or watch a TV show together on the phone. We have all that available to us. So I just think it's an unusual time, and we're still going to have to experience some of it. It's not time to let go and, run to the movies, right? We just got to continue to obey and do the things that are the best for ourselves and for others.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And this was our first show. So we wanted to address the elephant in the room, which was the COVID-19. But trust and believe, this is not going to be the norm. This is not the norm of how we live. This is not the norm of how we were living. This is not the norm as to how we will continue to live. And I'm going to say this in the next few minutes that we have. People are all focused on COVID-19. But what about the sex trafficking that was so prevalent before this came up? What about those children being snatched? What about the transgender, that, epidemic of those getting killed? What happened? What happened? So these are some of the other topics that we're going to be talking about on the upcoming weeks to go. But I just want to thank you all for listening. I want to thank Cookie for being here with me. I want to thank everybody, our sponsors, those that have supported us, those that are continuing to support us, those that are pushing us. And we just want to share love. We want to share love, but we want to be effective. We want to share love, but we want to be being intentional with it, having some meat with it. We want to share love, and we want to grow together through this process. And then once everything has come back to quote unquote normal life, let's not forget how we've band together. For the weakest, the chain is no stronger than its weakest link. Let us not forget how we stood together through this process, and let it not just be a phase. And once this is done, then we go back to our neutral corners. No, let us continue to grow together. Let us continue to grow together across faith lines, across denominational lines, across sexual origin lines. Let's continue to grow together as people. Let us continue to grow together as a community. Let us continue to grow together as a nation. I don't care what happens at the top. We are responsible for our own individual street. We are responsible for our own individual neighborhood, our communities. We are responsible for our own cities. We can't place all the responsibility on the law officials or the government officials. We have to be accountable for our own actions as well. We have to be accountable in our own homes. We have to hold ourselves accountable for the things that we think, the things that we do, and the manner in which we treat others. We have to be accountable first to ourselves and then to everyone else. If you're going to be willy-nilly and just go off the Richter scale and do whatever you want to do, you are a loose cannon and you are destined for failure. You're destined to run into problems. So we want to talk. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear your heart. We want to hear your concerns. We want to hear your likes and your dislikes. Why? Because if you don't talk about some things, you can go slap crazy. You wonder why some people end up just going and shooting up everything because they didn't have an outlet. We want to become that outlet if need be. There are over 7 billion people on the planet. We want to become that outlet. We can't be an outlet for everybody, but we want to start the process. And we want to begin to connect the dots. We want to begin to connect the dots with our feeding programs, with our homeless programs, with our ex-offender programs, in whatever we do, because life doesn't discriminate, so why do we? Life doesn't discriminate. Jails don't discriminate. Prisons don't discriminate. So why do we? Pandemic is definitely not discriminating. So why do we? So come on. Let's talk up close and personal. This is Dr. Nathalie Chase Thompson. Loving you to life. I want you to be well. I want you to be safe. I want you to continue to grow as your life is being redesigned even now. As your life is being changed even now. So let's talk. Call in. We're here on Saturdays from 6 to 6:30 p.m. We're going to have some live discussions and pre-recorded sessions. We're going to do a lot of things. We're going to do a lot of things. You can reach us at Let's Talk Up Close and Personal, the acronyms, .com, or you can actually check us out on our Facebook page. Check us out on Renew Venture page, on our Faith page. We have so many. Just check us out. How about that? Because we want to do what? We want to let's talk up close and personal with Dr. Nathalie Chase Thompson. Loving you to life. Cookie, you have any final words that you want to share within these last minute and a half?
No, that's wonderful. I just think we're about to go into a new normal. So I'm anxious and excited for everything that's happening for you and the radio station there. It's going to be good, and God's going to bless you in every way.
You know, I love you. I love you to life. She's with me through my ups and my downs, my ins and my outs. And we can talk, and we do talk. We do talk. We talk. When I say we talk, she chews me out, and I listen.
Up close and personal.
Up close and personal all day, every day. So, without further ado, you have a good day. You have a good morning. You have a good night. And we love you. We're praying for you. We don't have to even know you, but we're praying for a better health, better mental, physical, emotional, and financial state. God bless you. God keep you is always my prayer.
Amen.
Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Up Close and Personal with Dr. Nathalie Chase Thompson and friends. Be sure to tune in next week right here on Praise 107.9 for more raw, uncut, and to-the-point conversation. To contact Dr. Thompson, please visit LTUCNP.com or call 904-418-8611.